Today's lesson, we're going to talk about triangles and the triangle angle sum theorem and the triangle exterior angle theorem. First thing we're going to talk about today is how to classify triangles. First thing we're going to focus on here is how to classify triangles by their sides. Okay, so first type of triangle we're going to talk about here is an equilateral triangle. If you have an equilateral triangle, all the sides are congruent. So if you have a triangle and all three sides are exactly the same measure, that is known as an equilateral triangle. Next, we have an isosceles triangle. In an isosceles triangle, exactly two sides are congruent. So if that side is equal to that side and the other side's a different length, that has exactly two sides congruent, and it's known as an isosceles triangle. Next, we have a scalene triangle. In a scalene triangle, no sides are congruent, meaning all three of the lengths are totally different, okay? The other way to classify triangles are by the angles, okay? Um, First, we have an equiangular triangle. That means that all the angles are the same measure. So if all three angles are the same, that is called an equiangular triangle. And if that's the case, all three of these are going to be exactly 60 degrees. Next, a right triangle has exactly one right angle. And we know that right angles are labeled with a little box in the corner. That signifies that you have a 90-degree angle. Sorry for the interruption. Next, we have an acute triangle. Okay, an acute triangle means that all the angles are less than 90 degrees. And finally, an obtuse triangle has exactly one obtuse angle. Okay, an obtuse angle would be something greater than 90. Now let's talk about the triangle angle sum theorem. What the triangle angle sum theorem states is that the three angles of a triangle have a sum of 180 degrees, no matter what, okay? So, let's say this angle was 60, this angle was 30, this angle would have to be 90, because 60 plus 30 plus 90 would give you 180 degrees. And that's how the triangle angle sum theorem works. The three angles of a triangle will always add up to 180. The next thing we're going to talk about is the triangle exterior angle theorem, which states if we have a triangle, okay, if we have a triangle, see if I can make this triangle work here. Things getting stuck on me. If we have a triangle and we extend one of the sides, okay, this is called an exterior angle. Okay, it's an extension of one of the sides of the triangle. All right, now, this exterior angle is going to be the sum of what's called its two remote interior angles. Those are the angles on the other side away from the exterior angle. So these are called remote interior angles. So in this case, our exterior angle is equal to the sum of those two angles, angle 1 and angle 2. Okay? So if this angle here was, let's say, I don't know, 70, and angle 2 was 50, that means that this exterior angle would be the sum of those two, which gives you 120 degrees. So we're going to try a few examples here. The first thing we're going to work on is classifying triangles by their sides. So on this first triangle, I notice that both of these sides are 9 and this other side is 5. So I know that these two sides are congruent. Well, looking back, if two sides are congruent, that is known as an isosceles triangle. In the next triangle, all three sides have a length of 7. So all of these are the same length. That would make it an equilateral triangle. Okay? So those are a couple of examples utilizing what we learned earlier. Now let's classify triangles by their angles. So in this case, we're asked to classify triangle ABC by its angles. So it gives us the three measurements of the angles inside of the triangle. Now I notice that none of these angles are greater than 90, and none of them are exactly 90. So that means that this triangle is an acute triangle. And for the last example here about classifying triangles by their angles, we have the same type of problem. And here are the three measurements of the angles. And I notice that one of them is exactly 90. Well, when that occurs, that's a right triangle. Okay, finally here, what we're going to do is talk about the triangle angle sum theorem. Okay, so this example, we have a triangle, and we have 2 out of the 3 angles, and we're looking for this missing angle right here. All right. Now from the triangle angle sum theorem, I know that all 3 of these angles are going to add up to 180. So if I take 62 and add it to 45, and then what I'm going to do is subtract that. So that's going to be 107. I'm going to subtract that from the total 180. If I do that, I'll have the missing angle, which in this case is 73 degrees. And the final example here is going to touch on the exterior angle theorem. Okay? This angle right here is an exterior angle because it's an extension of one of the sides of the triangle. So I know that this angle 1 is going to be the sum of its 2 remote interior angles. So I know angle 1 is going to be simply 60 plus 63. So angle 1 has a measure of 123 degrees. And that concludes the lesson about classifying triangles, the triangle angle sum theorem, and the exterior angle theorem of a triangle.